Okay, let's talk backgrounds. First thing, I added 3 images. I added the floral image, which I will link. I added this one's a repeatable background. The second one is going to be just a big background image, and there is a third one that is just a small 300 by 300 image, which looks big, but we'll dive into that later. So I have those inside of my image folder, which I labeled IMG. If you actually use the word image, that's fine. So let's talk about backgrounds in our body. So our body tag is the entire page, right? So there's body and everything's inside of there. So if I were to grab body and I were to put background color yellow and save it, our entire document would be yellow. Pretty straightforward. If I do red, it's all going to be red. So I'm going to make that just a pink background and save. Now, I'm going to add another div right above our hickory dickory dock here. And I'm going to call it div, hit a tab. And inside, I'm going to put class box. All right, and there's nothing going to be there. Or, you know what, I will put text in. I'll say, I am the box. It doesn't matter if you have text or not. That's just the box. So in our style, we're going to put box, and we're going to do background color, and we'll make it yellow. Doesn't matter what color. So this box is just a straight up as big as needed kind of box. I'm going to make it a little bigger, so I'm going to add a height of 300 pixels. And I'm going to put a width of 300 pixels. So now we have that big box right there in the center. So the box has its own background color separate from the body, and that's pretty straightforward, right? So what if we wanted to make an image? We wanted our whole background to be an image, like mini sites. So what we would do, we go into our body, and we would just do background image, and it would have a URL because it's going to be from somewhere. And in this case, we're in our CSS folder, right? So we want to go over to our image folder. So we need to go up to our resource folder and then down to our IMG folder. So like I said in the other video, // which goes up, and then I'm going to go down into the image, and then I'm going to click floral 1. I'm going to save that. Oh, I'm going to save that, and here is our background now. So now we have this cool floral pattern, and I'm going to show you something cool, interesting about this. When you have an image that is repeatable by default, and it's not full size, it will automatically repeat. To show you this, I'm going to say background, I can't type, background repeat, no repeat. I'm going to save that, and you're going to see that now you see the image, and it's just that one image, right? Now, say that you want to have this image in a different position other than the upper left. You just do background, position, center. And then we save it. Keep on hitting the wrong key there. Save it. And now it's in the center of our page. And you can do, top right, bottom right, anything like that. So if I did like top right and saved it, you're going to see that it's in the top right of the browser. All right. So you can move that anywhere. So typically you'd want that in the center, right? Because if it's a background image, you kind of want it centered. Now, this works okay for this image. Now, if I change this to floral 2, which is our background image, it is a lot bigger of an image. And you see that it doesn't quite fill the entire border, but we want it to be a full-size image. So what you can do is you'll do background size and then cover. We save that, and now when I actually make it full size, we actually have this full image, and it looks pretty good. And I put the next Floral 3 in here, just an example. And notice how this image looks very pixelated. So if I were to if I took out this cover, which I commented out real quick, see how it looks decent there, but I mean, granted, you have the white background around it, but the image itself looks okay. And then when I actually put the cover in, it looks very pixelated. So that's something to keep in mind when you pick out your backgrounds. You have to keep in mind that if it's not a high enough resolution, meaning it's the size of the image isn't like 1920 by 1080 or larger, you're going to get a pixelated image on a lot of screens. And now it may not happen on mobile devices or something like that because they kind of scale. But on some of your bigger screens, like I personally use a 4K monitor, so it's going to look a little pixelated if I were to use it anything bigger than or smaller than 1080. So that is something to keep in mind when you do these. So I'm going to go back to Floral 2, which is our nice big background image, because we use these a lot on web pages. Now, I want to show you something. When you actually go into index, and if I were to copy this, and say I paste it a bunch of times, I paste, and save it, notice that this image, it looks very pixelated now, because it's being stretched out for the full length of the website, because there's a lot of text. Now, you may not have text and have different images all around the place, but you get the idea. So to remedy this, what you would do is you go to your CSS and you would have background size cover, background attachment, and then you have fixed. And if you save it now, when you actually go look at it, you can see that your image stays in place even though we're scrolling the images. And this is what many websites use. And by default, you have scroll, which means it scrolls down. The image is actually moving with the text. Now, why would you not want it fixed? I will show you. We go back to our first Floral image and save it. And you see that big stretched out image. So we turn this no repeat back to repeat, and we save it. And we also want to turn off this cover, because we no longer need it to cover the whole image. Now we have our cool little pattern, and it is a repeatable, cool pattern, and it's seamless. So, and if we didn't have scroll, we have fixed. We'll play around with this. Fixed. You save it, and it stays there, and it kind of looks the same, right? It doesn't matter either way, but personally, I think since it is a scrollable, repeatable image, we'll go back to our scroll, and it kind of scrolls with it, which I think looks kind of cool. There will be different backgrounds that kind of display differently for your text. Now notice that we can't see it in our text, so now in our P category here, what we could do is we also can use background color there. You could put an image on it if you really wanted to, but say I did background color white. So now all of our texts are white. And now you can barely see the stuff behind it, but you kind of get the idea that you can put a background color on any type of image that you want. Inside the box, so we have our box there. Let's put a background image. We'll just copy this. When you're coding, you're going to do a lot of copy and pasting versus typing things out. And we'll put a background image 3 in there. Let's save that, and then you kind of see that in there. And we can background size and cover that, and it fits the whole box. It looks good, and on top of that we have our text, we have background color. Everything's looking pretty good. Now I do want to point out that if you don't have an image that is seamless, you're going to get a kind of line that kind of separates. So let's say I go back and I'm going to take out this background color here because it's a little distracting. So we'll go back to this. And I had Emerald Floral 2, which is our full-size image. Now, notice how that's repeating. So if you don't have an actual image that is repeatable, that's seamless, you're going to get this weird line, which isn't the end of all things, but look at that. That's pretty bad. So keep that in mind when you pick an image. Be sure that it is something that's going to be seamlessly repeatable, because otherwise you're going to get these goofy looking lines. That doesn't look good. That's not what good looks like. So when you're picking out your images, just be aware. Try it out. Make sure you're picking out the right things. Okay, so we covered that. There's one more thing, and I'm going to switch this back just because I hate looking at it like that. And we're going to do background repeat. What am I missing? I don't need a scroll, but what I do need is a background size cover. I just wrote that twice. I did not mean to do that. What I wanted, right? Did you know what I need? Could you tell? I wanted an attachment fixed. So that's what we wanted. All right. So one more, well, two more things that we want to go over is opacity. So opacity, well, let's do it on the box, is going to be opacity. And you're going to use decimal numbers, because 1 being 100%. So let's say a 0.5, which is about half, and we save it. We're going to notice that it goes away halfway. So sometimes, I don't know when, I don't have an example for you on top of my mind, but sometimes you will want the opacity to be different. And you can kind of play around with that between 1. You can see the difference between 1 and 0.1 and whatnot. So that is very faint. That one you can barely see. If you can't see it, it's right there. So opacity is an option, and when we get later on in the course, you're going to see us using that more and actually being something that's useful. So be aware of it. And the other thing I want to show you is the shorthand for background images. Now, you can write a background color, image, repeat, and position on one line. So I'm going to go back and go up to here and that out, that out, that out. And what I'm going to write is background pink. So color is first. Now, you don't even see the color, so you won't know that it's actually there. Let me actually cut this out real quick so you can see. I hit the wrong button, so Control X there. And if I save it, there's pink. So background pink works, no problem. So then I'm going to re-add the URL. So save it, and our URL is back. So color, image. Then you can have repeat or no repeat, and it's repeating right now. So we're gonna have no repeat. So save it. Now we just have this image. Where is our image? It's at the top, right? And after that, you can have attachment if you want an attachment. So say we wanted to do attachment fixed. So we save that. Now it's fixed. And then the last one would be position, which if I have fixed, it won't show you. So I'm going to take fixed out and just put the position and center it. So I save it, and you're going to notice that it's in the center of our entire page. So it always has to be in the color, image, repeat, attachment, position order. But if you're missing one, that's fine, as long as everything's in order with the missing value. So that attachment is missing, but center still works as long as it comes after what's next. All right, so then you could do background size cover to make sure it's stretched out all the way. It has to be its own thing, and we'll put that fixed back in there. Fixed. And now we have a great looking background and only 2 lines instead of having all those separate lines of code. So pretty neat. And that is backgrounds in a pretty long nutshell. But what you should do is go through and play around with it, pick out some backgrounds that you may want to use for your sites on Pixabay or whatever website that has royalty-free, copyright-free images, and play around with it, play around with the opacity, and have fun with it, guys.